Thanks for coming along today. So, as Richard said, today isn't only about absorbing information, it's about actually trying to do something to protect our water supplies. And the actions, this event and the actions that we're going to take are within the context of a campaign called Our Land, Our Water, Our Future. So I just wanted to quickly introduce that campaign and tell you a bit about what we're trying to achieve with it. So, before I do that, let's talk a bit about New South Wales's coal and gas problems. So this is a map of New South Wales. The green is the national parks that we've got across the state. We can overlay on top of that, these are all the minerals, so mining, except for coal, licenses and applications for licenses across the state. And that's if you add coal, you can see there's a big block there, which is where we get our water from. And then this is if you add coal seam gas and other unconventional gases. 78%, around 80% of New South Wales is covered with a license or an application for a license. So we have a problem. We have an invasion, really. And at the moment, neither of the major parties that form government are really prepared to rein in this invasion and protect all the other values that we get from our land and water. And so obviously what's happening across the state is conflict. All over the state, people are fighting to try to stop them. This is a direct action up at the Lead Forest, which is being bulldozed for a coal mine. You've got farmers all over the state. You've got people in the Illawarra fighting against coal and coal seam gas in their water catchments, which is also our water catchments. You've got health issues from the dust, all the coal trains coming down the Hunter Valley to Newcastle. And that's a picture of the Hunter Valley, which is increasingly looking like the moon. And then, of course, as Bridget mentioned, Sydney's own drinking water catchments. And we'll hear a lot more about that today with Julie's presentation. So, the Our Land, Our Water, Our Future campaign is made up of an alliance of groups. There's about 85 groups across the state that have lined up so far to support the campaign. And the aim is really to try to get policies legislated at the state level that will allow all those frontline battles to win, essentially. So the aim is to protect our land, our water, and our future from the coal and gas. And most importantly, we're trying to build support in Sydney, because out in the bush there is quite a lot of awareness about what the impacts are of this coal and gas, inappropriate coal and gas activity. In the city, a lot less so. So in Sydney itself, we now have groups set up in Lane Cove, in Manly, in Granville, Parramatta, Campbelltown, Blacktown, Balmain and Oatley. We're about to set up groups on the Central Coast. And so all of those teams are in marginal seats except for Lane Cove, which is here. This is the electorate of Lane Cove, and Oatley, and Manly, sorry, which are obviously the Premier and the Energy Minister's seats, so key decision makers. So we're trying to put the pressure on where it matters most. So what are we asking for? It can be summarised in the sentence, no-go zones and the community right to say no. So what we're asking for is no-go zones for coal and unconventional gas in water supply, drinking water supply catchments, farmland and high-value conservation areas. And we're also asking for local councils to have the right to veto developments on their land if their communities are against it. And we know that these demands are popular, that the majority of people are with us. This is the results of polling we did about a year ago now, before this campaign started. And the vast majority of people support the no-go zones in water supplies, in sensitive environmental areas and in farmland, and giving the councils the right to say no. So that obviously cuts across all voting intentions, the whole political spectrum. Yeah?
How willing are councils to speak on behalf of the
So we won't have any more questions, but that question was about councils. There are some councils, mainly out in the bush, that have passed motions against coal seam gas in particular. In the city, there's possibly none so far. But that's one of the things we want to fix with this campaign. So look, I'll talk a bit more about what you can do after we've had the presentations, but on your seats you've got a template letter. It'll either be to Anthony Roberts or Mike Baird. I'd really encourage you to sign it, put your details on, give it back. Those of you that live in the Lane Cove electorate, and that's East Ryde, Gladesvillle, the whole Hunters Hill Peninsula, and then across the Lane Cove River from Lane Cove to Greenwich. So that's the electorate. If you live in that area, sign the one to Anthony Roberts. If you're outside that area, then sign the one to Mike Baird. You may need to swap with someone next to you if you've got the wrong one on your seat. And then leave it up the front.